It is a new era for the New York Jets, the freaking New York Jets, who are built for this. All right. Now that the smoke is cleared from the press conference, it's time to get to work. And we got questions. We know there will be answers, whether they answer it on purpose or accidentally. There will be answers, but we have questions. So it is time to review those questions right here, right now. Boy Green meets Wudi.
Can you guys help us get a jet chant here? Yeah, going.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Come on in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go!
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets! Let's go! J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets! Let's go! There you go,
Third Party Thursday.
Chris joining us here on the program with a capital P here on the program.
Jake Asman, come on down. How you doing, good sir?
Wow, what an intro. I mean, the boy Green is known for having the intro, but Wudi, that was unreal, man. Thanks for the kind words, son.
We are men of many names.
My favorite Austrian Jets fan right there, baby.
Boy Green
Meets Wudi. Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy James Wudi. You just know we are Wudi, rocking everywhere right here. In his very nice striped Jet shirt is the boy who became king, Mr. Paul Essen Jr. himself. It's a new day. Yes, it is. How you doing, Boy Green?
I'm excited, Wudi. Again, I put on my nice shirt for today's show, and it's because I'm all kinds of excited. It's the Aaron Glenn era. It's the Darren Mougey era. It's just there's a freshness. There's a fresh bag of chips kind of feeling that's happening right now for the New York Jets. And come on, man, when you hear this from Aaron Glenn, which, by the way, I'll kind of combine it all here. First off, let's give a shout out to our number one Austrian Jet fan who's in our intro, for God's sakes. Gifting a membership right off the top. God bless. Let's also flip the banner. Number one Austrian Jet fan has gifted 237 memberships during this cycle, including that one you just see on your screen. By the way, that membership went to Drew Sherrill. You are now a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Shout out to our number one Austrian Jet fan. Just got another raffle ticket for our awesome contest coming up, which we really appreciate. Thank you. And no, how can you not get fired up when you get memberships, of course, and when you hear this from your coach?
Here's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Boom shakalaka. That's what I'm talking about, AG. And we've got that now in the cooker. So, yeah, it's a new day.
Yes, it sure is. I'm shocked to see this commenter in the comments right here. Yeah. I think it's a little too early to be saying fire Aaron Glenn. And when I say a little bit too early, I mean like way too early. We on day 2 right now. And I really think he crushed that press conference. I really think that. As you know, Boy Green, I am not easy to please. I was not jumping for joy when the Aaron Glenn decision was made, right? I had my reservations.
Woody's wife, by the way. Good Lord, have mercy. I mean, come on now. Jesus.
She's a wonderful woman. So with the press conference, I was super, super impressed by the answers. There were a couple of things in there that actually led me to believe that there will be a difference between this regime and the previous ones that we've seen. Comments from Wudi, right? We gotta start looking at that man in the mirror.
That got me. I'll just be, if we're just gonna be straight up here, that got me. Wudi saying, literally, man, I gotta look in the mirror. I gotta be a better owner. I'm like, what? I'm not baffled by why would he say that? He's been the best owner of all time. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm just saying it like that. The self-reflection that came from Wudi was surprising. I'm gonna be honest. Now, there's a long way between admitting it and then doing something about it. But you know what? I said it on Twitter yesterday. Admitting it's the first step. So okay, that's progress.
Definitely, that is progress. Like you said, the first step is admitting it. So that made me feel good. AG, of course, right? A lot of his comments. The reason why I put Brian Flores and Vrabel on the pedestal that I put them on was because of the little things that they do. I didn't put them in that defensive box, offensive box. They win games. And that's literally verbatim what Aaron Glenn said yesterday, talking about the little things. He's not going to be calling defensive plays. He's not calling offensive plays. He is a coach. He is the head coach. He's overseeing things. And all of that was just music to my ears. It was, Mozart was just in my ear right here, just playing beautiful, beautiful symphonies.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And I guess we'd have to do a Jake Asman. We have Rod coming in here. Please get the Fire Aaron Glenn person off the chat. I guess we'll put a bounty up if someone is willing, because, Jake Asman always says that he is a, equal opportunist. If someone sends in a $20 super chat, I will ban Fire AG. I'll just be straight up. If someone sends in right now a $20 super chat, or you could do the membership equivalent, I suppose. So send in the proper amount of memberships there. Sure, we'll ban Fire AG from the chat. So again,
shout out to my guy K Brock, my man.
There you go.
In the building. Thank you.
Yeah,
showing
I
up.
Appreciate it, K Brock there. So there you go. The bounty has been set. Normally it's a Jake Asman thing. Shout out to Jakey, but if you guys want to get rid of him, you can pay the piper. Or else I won't feed the animals and everyone could just watch to their own attune. And by the way, Fire Aaron Glenn, he has donated enough super chats that he's in the raffle to potentially win because he has sent in super chats to say Fire Aaron Glenn. And he had a Fire Aaron Glenn super chat out there before he was even hired. Just when the rumor that he was potentially going to be hired, he went out there and said, "Nah, Fire Aaron Glenn." I was like, Jesus, so good Lord. So he's been doing that since like last week, the week before. So salute for the dedication, I suppose. But
absolutely, Fire Aaron Glenn guy. We need people like you so we can point our fingers and say that's a bad guy. So
yeah. So anywho, long story short, again, AG. It was funny. The press conference was obviously yesterday at 1:00. And then they did all these television interviews, radio interviews, and everything immediately after. But yesterday morning on Boy Green Daily, someone asked me, Paul, what are you hoping to hear today from AG? And I said, oh, that's a good question. And I laid out all these things. Like, I want to hear his vision for the football team. I want to hear, everyone says that he wanted this job, but I really want to hear more details on it because he went on all these other interviews. What's the truth? What was happening there? So I had all these things, bang, boom, bam, that I wanted him to say. And a strong stance in the Aaron Rodgers thing. So strong stance. He was as clear as day, knocking off media members saying, you guys aren't going to get me. This is my take on Aaron Rodgers. No one's above the team. We'll have a group decision on that, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. And so there was something there. I was like, cool. He told the vision, obviously. He was very passionate. And the other thing he was passionate about was I wanted this job, he says about the Jets job. And I took other interviews, and I probably shouldn't say this basically, but you know what? In all those other interviews, in my head, I'm like, I need this Jets job. I want this Jets job. And someone showing that passion and commitment to the team when everyone has run away from the Jets. They're in the middle of this embarrassing 14-season playoff drought, longest in team history, longest in North American sports, all that stuff. So everyone's running from the Jets. They suck. They stink. There's a disease of losing around the Jets that you can't get past. To hear Aaron Glenn sift through the disease, he's heading back in. Independence Day, everyone's running out of the town. He's running into the town. He's Will Smith in this thing. He's like, hey, baby, I'm going to save, America and the world against the aliens somehow. So, I loved it. He just answered, again, really all the questions. Obviously, there's still more questions to have. The coaching staff is coming together, things of that nature. But, again, the whole point of this video is the top 5 Jets questions Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey need to answer this offseason, which we're about to get into. But the questions I had to going into the presser, he answered for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, again, I am hard to please. I'm not head over heels or nothing like that. But I've not seen any red flags. So let's look at some questions. Maybe if these questions have the right answers, your boy will be head over heels. Who knows?
All right, well, let's go 5-1 here, Woody.
Number 5.
Get us started.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really read the phrasing of our video correctly. But this is still a question. It's a question that I need to be answered. Is how
do it as Jeopardy
aggressive?
style. What is blank? If you have to,
No,
Yeah, Alex.
it's not.
Yeah, feel free. Yeah.
It is how aggressive will Darren Mougey be in acquiring talent? I think that answer was the downfall of the last regime. I think Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas had a great relationship. I think they did work together in tandem. But Joe Douglas was not that good. Dare I say, almost horrible in free agency. Never got that top option. Was always shopping in the bargain bin. And we had to say, oh, well, this person's coming off injury, but if, this person, hasn't really had a lot of snaps, but if, right, and that was each and every person. And we saw how that played out. I think in this league, to bounce back, you need to be aggressive. You need to get your guys. Obviously, if guys fall to you, like in the Broncos case, Bo Nix, right? That was their guy, fell to them. Then, of course, obviously, you don't have to do anything crazy if they fall to you. But the acquisition of talent, I think that's something that is super, super important from this regime. And we talk about mistakes of the past and now looking toward the future. I want to see, I need to see it to believe it, between free agency and the draft. How aggressive will Mougey be? Mougey. Sorry. How aggressive will Mougey be in terms of acquiring talent?
That's interesting. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction.
Number 5.
How quickly are they going to get rid of the funk? And they being Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn. How quickly are they going to clean out the trash? They just bought this new house. They come in. What the hell? We got a squatter in here. We got some cardboard boxes. What's this trash in here? We didn't buy this. So how quickly are going to get rid of guys? And, I hate to name names because, hey, they're in the NFL. I'm not. But I think it's time to get rid of funk. Get rid of guys that clearly are not part of the program. Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey both sort of said this, that they're going to look through the tape of last season. They're going to assess the roster. I'm sure they've done a lot of that already prior to these interview processes and things of that nature, and find out who are Jets and who are not. Obviously, some of them will handle themselves. Hassan Reddick, get your ass out of here. I'll pack you in the bus for you and get you out of town. But there's other guys that are under contract that are more difficult. Again, Hassan is a free agent. So see ya. Don't let the door hit you. No reason to report. God bless. Good riddance. But like Michael Clemens. And again, that one hurts me because I like Michael Clemens. We follow each other on social media. I like the person. I like Michael. But this isn't about who I like, Woody. This is about brass tacks. And Michael Clemens has done too many dumbass things. And, maybe they're going to let him learn through it because he's going to be entering the last year of his rookie deal. So they're just going to, why not keep him on the 90-man roster is what some people would say. But to me, I think it's about getting rid of guys that are clearly not part of the vision anymore. They're not part of this roster. There's going to be schematic changes coming on offense. There's going to be schematic changes coming up on defense. I think moving on from some guys that clearly we're going this way, they're going that way. They're tough conversations, but guys like Michael Clemens on this team is a guy that good riddance. See ya. We no longer need you on the team. No offense, Woody. Alan Lazard, get your ass out of here. Pack your bags and your brief lead of touchdown receptions during the season. Pack them in your bags and go. I know Alan Lazard had this great quote to Rich Cimini at the end of the season. I want to retire a Jet. Well, unless he plans on retiring right now, well, sorry, your tenure with the Jets is over. Out. See ya. And I don't care what the Aaron Rodgers decision is. I just don't want Lazard back. The high of the highs of the Hail Mary touchdown catch to the leading the league in drop percentage, that's a real stat. Alan Lazard leads the National Football League in drop percentage by a pass catcher. That's awful. And that's not enough of a balance to be able to have. So Lazard, get out of here. So Jeremy Rucker, get your ass out of here. God, you suck so bad. And Wudi, I somehow stumbled into a preseason episode. And if I was Robert Saleh, I'm not. I'd be receipting the heck out of your ass about all your Jeremy Rucker takes, pal. But I'm not, because this Robert Saleh regime is over, thankfully for you. So I have no receipts to bring up. Just memories, okay, of what you said about Jeremy Rucker, who's been absolute garbaggio. So his ass is out. But again, getting rid of the trash. How quickly does the new era come in? Obviously, a lot of these coaches, Zach Roseblatt had a great tweet about it earlier today, that are in limbo, Aaron White Cotton, or others that have not been hired in new places. And those are some other changes they got to make too. So how quickly do they move on to the new era? That's question number 5.
Just to, I guess, rebut, or not rebut, but to respond a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know how much of a rush they're in. I mean, Michael Clemens is not really costing them like that much. Of the names you said, Lazard has a hefty contract. Like that's, I don't know what happened, but okay. I guess it's just a Wudi show right now. But yeah, I don't think Clemens is too much of an expense, right? Last year on the rookie deal, same thing with Rucker. Lazard, yeah, that's a hefty contract. Just for the record, it actually wasn't a brief lead. He led for the majority of the season.
Oh, jeez.
Just letting you know, and actually led the league in touchdown receptions. I guess you can call that brief if we're talking about the first 5 weeks of the season as brief. But yeah, that is something definitely that I think is worth looking at. I just don't think, like, Joe Douglas had a lot of bad contracts to, sift through. So many guys that, can we get the stank out? This era of Jets, kudos to Joe, right? By what I said, shopping in the bargain bin. He never really made long-term commitments to anybody besides Quinnen Williams. So I don't see that as much of a priority for this regime to get rid of people that aren't really costing them too much anyway. But I guess you were about to say something before you dropped out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry, weird technical glitch here. No, the only thing I would add to your response is it's true. If they just say, we get 90 guys, every NFL team gets 90 guys right now. We get 90 guys all the way to the end of August. What's the rush, again, to get rid of cheap control guys? Injuries can happen and things of that nature. And maybe under our regime or scheme, players can change. So again, Michael Clemens, Jeremy Rucker, is those examples that are dirt cheap last year of the deals. You don't have to extend them, but you don't necessarily have to cut them. So again, I would give the tip of the cap. If the Jets new brass said, nah, we don't have to do that right now. Again, Reddick's and stuff, it handles itself. They're free agents. Or if he was under contract, he'd be a guy I'd say we need to find a resolution that includes him not being in the green and white. So, but yeah, it's a fair point. Let's go on here.
Number 4.
Kind of in the same vein of what Boy Green was just talking about. He said, free agents handle themselves, but what about the good ones? What about my guy DJ Reed? What about Jamie Sherwood? What about Morgan Moses? They have some decisions to make, and losing some talented guys at some positions where how do they best feel the remedy is? Like, should they re-sign these guys? Should they draft replacements? Should they sign other guys? I think DJ Reed is a definitely an interesting one. Jamie Sherwood, I think we all would like back. I think we might be overrating him a little bit based on some of the comments that I've seen, or some of the contracts as people have DM'd me, like, oh, let's offer Jamie Sherwood this. But in general, yes, I would definitely love to see him back in the green and white. Tyler Conklin is a super interesting one. You hear Boy Green every night before he goes to sleep. He is cursing the name Jeremy Rucker. What's going to happen with the tight end position? Do they re-sign Tyler Conklin? Do they draft somebody? I seen a mock draft. The most recent mock draft I saw was actually a tight end, 7th overall. What's happening? What is happening with those positions? I want to know how they handle the current free agents on this roster. Who's coming back and who's going?
Normally, I don't do this because we come up with our top 5 before the show started. But, I'm going to have to do a fan selection here. I've seen something I like, and I'm going to call an audible. Can. As long as we can still do that, as long as Aaron Rodgers is still on the roster.
Number 4.
I'm going to go to our number 1 Austrian Jet fan here because I think he's right, and this is something we're going to have to figure it out. He says, please get the kicker position right. And also, specifically, he had Greg the Leg, Zerline, hit the retirement home. See ya! With a Michael K. See ya! He threw that in there. Good Lord. Among the others that are coming in here for this possibility, they need to get kicker right. They had it shows you how fine this line is. 2023, they had kicker as right as it could be. Greg Zerline had one of the greatest single seasons we've ever seen from a Jets kicker ever. And then last year was an epic disaster. Now, Zerline is still on the roster. To your point, again, the same sort of conversations about whether or not to keep him and then get another kicker and have a competition or what they're going to do from that perspective. They need to get kicker right because that's so important. That's the difference between average teams and good teams to great teams.
Definitely would agree that kicker is a big deal. Kicking has been down across the whole league. Justin Tucker was a first ballot Hall of Famer, was, projected to be the number 1 kicker in the history of football. And he missed a whole bunch of kicks this year. I know Ravens they were flocking to try to get rid of Justin Tucker. Younghoe Koo was like the successor to that. And he missed kicks. He missed game-winning kicks. Greg was definitely the worst in the league, in a league that kicking was down. But I do think I think they'll be able to find a kicker. And really, hopefully, I think the key is finishing drives. The reason why it was such a big deal what Greg was doing was because they didn't, we didn't finish drives. You might blame the Broncos game on Greg Zerline missing a 50-plus yard field goal, but we had the chance to drive the ball down the field, and Aaron Rodgers, in 8 downs went 11 yards. I would say, definitely can't have a bad kicker. But I trust the new staff coming in, which might sound crazy because it's like, what do you mean? We trust who? You don't even know who it is. But from what I've heard, Chris Banjo coming in, and then our boy Mike Westhoff, out there giving advice. I do trust them to get it right.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody, but Woody's a pro firing through on and any of these issues. We got 300 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe, and let's get it going, baby. Let's go to the next one on the list, Woody, as we continue to power through here on our top 5 questions the Jets need to answer this offseason with.
Number 3.
This is a huge deal. My first 2 are obviously big deals. But they can be answered, at any point, or not at any point, but at any point between now and week 1, we'll find out how aggressive Mougey will be. We'll find out which free agents are going to be signed. But something that we can find out today or tomorrow are the offensive and defensive coordinator selections. And this is a really big deal. Remember, I said before that there were a few things that have separated this regime to me. If you could, Boy Green, can you roll the tape? Can you roll the tape?
I absolutely can. And now normally I'm the video guy, so I love this. Let's get some production value here on the show.
First thing I learned was all the things I did as an assistant coach don't really carry over to being a head coach. Yeah. You're involved in now hiring a staff. You're involved in personnel structure and working with the scouting department in terms of team building. You're more involved in the salary cap and how that money gets spent, and not only the amount of money, but the length of time that you're committed to a player. You're also responsible for a lot of staffing that goes to support the team. And now you're involved in this medical side of things, which as an assistant coach, you typically aren't. And so you become a head coach and all of a sudden you have a plate full of things that you have to deal with. And you don't even touch well, here's the defense we're going to play. Here's the offense we're going to run. Here's how we're going to run this play. And your responsibilities are so much different than that. And there's really no training for it because when you're not the head coach, you just don't get to do those things. And it's a big challenge for any head coach that has not been in that seat before. And you always have to be there at one time to start to learn it. But it's a big jump when you make that first step.
I mean, I was actually sent that clip. And when they sent that to me, I was like, oh my God, like that is what I'm talking about. When I say, I want a head coach that's done this before, right? That's why. Because of all those responsibilities that Bill Belichick, who is also a defensive coordinator turned head coach, right? That's what he went through in Cleveland. I don't know if you're familiar with his time in Cleveland, but the record wasn't great. Right. Then he gets that second stint and the rest is history. So that's what I was literally in my own head thinking that for, Brian Flores. Oh, that was his first stint. This is the second, but that's what I was thinking. Give me Aaron Glenn, who seems to be wise beyond his years. It looks like he already knows some of that, like knows that this is coming. I mean, knows about the plate. And as a result, right, he's not adding too much, right? He wants to have a DC that calls the plays. He wants to have an OC that calls the plays. So we need to figure out who these people are. That's what we need to know. And I don't think it's like Saleh, where it's like, okay, Mike LaFleur, you're the OC, do your thing. I'm over here. It's like, no, you got your domain, but I'm overseeing everything. By giving this to you and giving that to you, now I can handle all the things that Bill Belichick just laid out and then still have the capacity to spend equal time amongst all the players. That was, seeing that Aaron Glenn was not relinquishing, but that was his plan, gave me probably the most confidence of anything that's happened this week. Was like, wow, this guy gets it. The fears that I was thinking about, I think he already knows they're coming, and I think he has a plan.
Yeah, I'm going to just quickly do mine because, let me call a quick audible.
Number 3.
My number 3 is the same. It's the staff being put together. And some of our questions, I imagine, especially as we get here to the top 3, are going to align in a lot of respects. Again, for folks who don't know, I'm trying to spread the gospel on this because I don't think a lot of people knew this, because I'll just admit it, I didn't know this. For people hiring head coaches, right? You're like, the Rooney Rule. You must interview 2 external minority candidates before you can hire your next head coach. People know that for general manager. People know that for head coach. What people don't know in the NFL rulebook, coordinators count for the Rooney Rule. So I can't just hire Wudi because I want to. You have to go through the process. Every NFL team must interview 2 external minority candidates for their coordinator position before they can hire them. Again, you could be I'll use the example, the New England Patriots. You can have a guy in mind and just run through interviews to check off bucket lists and go, yeah, I'm going to that guy. For instance, the Cowboys, it was reported immediately that they were going to hire Matt Eberflus. Shout out to Ed Warder, who used to cover the Cowboys for ESPN. He reported the Cowboys are hiring Matt Eberflus as their defense coordinator. And they went, correction, they will begin the interview process to consider candidates, and he is a top candidate. Well, guess who just got hired earlier today? Matt Eberflus. So they went through, they're like, I want to hire this guy. I mean, interview. Yeah, we're going to hire Matt Eberflus and go back through the process. So, long story short, to Woody's point, Nick Caley is the top target for the Jets, and Aaron Glenn as their offense coordinator, the Rams tight ends coach and passing game coordinator. But what a lot of people are like, then if everyone keeps saying he's the top target, then what's the holdup? The Jets must go through the Rooney Rule to fulfill that position. Same for defensive coordinator. There was all those rumors about Steve Wilkes. So they have to go through that process. Maybe those guys are still the guys. Again, like the Cowboys case, they wanted him a week, 2 weeks ago. They end up hiring him after going through the process. But sometimes by going through the process, it delays you and you ultimately miss out on your guy. Clint Kubiak apparently was on the Jets list. He's the new Seattle Seahawks offense coordinator. a lot of people had John Morton, the former Jets offensive coordinator in yesteryear. He just replaced Ben Johnson in Detroit. So sometimes you miss out on your guys going through this process, but who they hire obviously is critically important. Aaron Glenn ain't calling the defense, so whoever comes in, that's pretty important. And the offense corner has been as important as we've said in the past. Critical hires, special teams. It looks like it'll be Chris Banjo. Nothing official there yet. So again, there's just a lot of important hires, and the support staff around Aaron Glenn is important. And I would also throw that up to the front office. Darren Mougey has never been a general manager before, so he probably wants some guys like Thomas Dimitrioff, Jim Nagy, whoever, just people that are very experienced. He should have those as his running mates in the office, all kind of collectively together.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing, is the experience. The Saleh regime, everybody was in a first time, in a role for the very first time in their lives. That's super exciting. It's super fun, but doesn't always pan out the way you hope. So definitely, I will feel good about Steve Wilks. I don't think he's the best defensive mind, or, he's not Vic Fangio, nothing like that. But just to have the experience, I think he is somebody whose responsibility can help bleed over and help Aaron, have some stability as we try to figure out, the team's, identity and culture and stuff like that. So, super, super big.
Number 2.
Go ahead, Wudi.
They asked Darren Mougey about foundational players, foundational pieces. Was this a special situation because this team actually isn't barren of talent? And Mougey wholeheartedly agreed. He said there's a lot of players that, we like to keep. This team already has great players. We like to develop them and then build on that already strong foundation. The question included members on both lines. I'm going to talk about people that are not on either of the lines. I'm talking about Garrett Wilson. I'm talking about Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, and I guess this person's actually on the line, Jermaine Johnson, that 2022 draft class that is forever in my heart. I don't care where any of those players play, just already, the memories, what they've been able to accomplish as New York Jets. I will root for them out of respect, as long as they put on a helmet. But I would prefer if all of them had that green and white their whole career. So I'm very, very curious to see, especially as we're now talking about extending options and stuff like that. We've seen it all throughout the league working differently with, wide receivers. Jamar Chase, right? He played with no guarantee of the next year. Kind of crazy, but when you get the triple count, he bet on himself, and now he's about to make way more than he was going to make if he had actually signed that deal. So it's crazy how that works out. Like, is Garrett in a similar situation? Should he take the deal now? All that type of stuff we really need to figure out, because I think all of us would prefer to have Garrett Wilson. I know the fan base universally loves Garrett. For Breece, Sauce, Jermaine, I know people feel a whole bunch of different ways, but personally, I want all four of them to be lifetime Jets, and I'm just so curious to see what happens. They said they're evaluating the whole roster. Nobody's safe. So I want to see what happens to my four main guys from that legendary draft class.
Number 2.
And I will, just to address your point real quick, I think it's a myth that the Jets can't keep them all. Look at people around the league keeping their guys. You can keep the guys. It's just figuring it out. And again, that's above my pay grade. That's up to Darren Mougey and his salary cap staff of trying to fit all the pieces in. I would say this. My number 2 is specifically Garrett Wilson. I want him to get the bag at the soonest possible moment. It could be today. Who knows? He's eligible as soon as today and yesterday, and since the end of the regular season, to sign a franchise-altering deal. I think when you look at the other 3 guys in the 2022 draft class that are all eligible for contract extensions, you go through. Jermaine's coming off the Achilles. He's very unlikely to get any sort of alteration to his deal. The Jets do have to make a 5th-year option on the 3 first-round guys by early May. So Jermaine, Garrett, Sauce. I anticipate the Jets accepting all of those team options are fully guaranteed numbers. Those official numbers aren't out yet on how much that will be, but I anticipate the Jets picking up all 3 of them. Breece Hall was not a first-round pick, so he isn't eligible for that. But Jermaine blew out his Achilles, so I think he's put on the shelf. I think Brees Hall's coming off it's hard to say bad year, but he was the number 2 rated running back in the league. He was the number 1 25 and under running back rated by Jeremy Fowler of ESPN before the season. So there's a lot of chutzpah there, and he didn't live up to the hype. Because of that bad year, I doubt he takes a deal or the Jets give him the right deal. Put him on. Sauce Gardner, same sort of thing. Coming off his worst year as a pro. Now, if Brees and Sauce are willing to talk, if I'm Darren Mougey, maybe I get Brees Hall and Sauce at a deal because they're not going to be top of the market value, but they might be close. I would lean Sauce more as close to that upper top 5 echelon. Brees, because Christian has reset his own mark at 19 mil per year at a running back. I don't think Brees sniffs anywhere near that. But if he's willing to talk, I still think you could get good deals for them. And to your overall point, well, do you want to keep them anyway? Why not? That could make a lot of sense. But I think the guy that's unquestionably, you could make a excellent case for the Jets side and Garrett Wilson side. Let's get the bag right now. Let's sign the dotted line. No questions asked. Everything's good. He can get great value for himself. The Jets can get great value. Like, let's do this thing. I think it's Garrett Wilson. He should become immediately the highest paid player in Jets franchise history on a per year basis, total contract value and everything. He should top Quentin Williams in every single category, guaranteed money, contract total value, everything. And he deserves it. Garrett Wilson's a superstar. I never want him to go anywhere else, and I think he's only going to get better when we get consistency at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers played all 17 games. He's the first Jets quarterback to start a full season since Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2015. That's a decade, people, of quarterback fluctuation. And no one knows that stronger than Garrett. So for me, Darren Mougey, I'm evaluating that roster. I'm evaluating that roster pretty quick. All right, let me watch the tape of Garrett Wilson. Okay, let's give him the bag. That's how quick. Boop, boop. That's how quick it is for me of making sure I secure that for G-Dub. Again, real quick, by the way, we've got 400 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. As we reach mile markers, again, it's free to subscribe to the show. Once we get to 7,500 subscribers, I'm going to give away a piece of Jets memorabilia that was signed by 2 former New York Jets first-round picks. That's going to go for free to one of our free subscribers to the show. So subscribe to the channel, baby. We're going to be doing a lot of fun giveaways, so jump in on that. All right, Wudi, what is it? Number 1 time for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm assuming we have the same number 1. It should be
Probably.
like the collective number 1. They already asked him a whole bunch of times.
Number 1.
Okay. Oh, well, I was still gonna say, for Garrett, I think there might be a little bit of overrating going on, which
overrating.
We're so prone to as a fan base that we get super excited with the actual like stats or the actual info, and then we overinflate, just like how we all were, or you all were saying that Sauce was better than Patrick Tate. Like, he never was. But he's so great. Like, not like, are you saying like Garrett? What are you saying about Garrett?
Okay, so yeah, I guess let me be more specific. I think that's an important figure. The highest paid wide receiver in football, I believe,
should be Garrett Wilson.
No. Whoa. Okay, Rate it in there, Wudi. Hey, wait it in. I'm just setting the market. Okay. I believe still the number 1 highest paid wide receiver in football is Justin Jefferson at 35. I think CD's just a hair under. I believe he's at 34, but I'll double check that in a second. I don't believe Garrett is in that conversation. I don't think Garrett's put up the numbers. Now, Garrett could turn around and say, look at my bleeping quarterbacks. I've played with 8 different guys over the last 3 years, and I'd be like, touche. But so he doesn't have the requisite numbers or the crazy touchdown number. Again, he's missing some of the big stats, but he could say it's because of my quarterback situation. And then I don't know where the Jets and him stand in a room when they're trying to figure out proper value for a guy who couldn't be maximized because of the quarterback situation. For me, if I'm Darren Mougey, I go to the table. I pat Garrett Wilson on the back. I grab a piece of paper. I write on it. I fold it in half, and I go. And if it's a long table, Darren Mougey could still get it across. He's a tall, big, lanky, Gumby-looking bastard. He could slide it all the way across. And that figure on the paper would be $30 million per year on a 4-year deal. There you go. That would be 4 years for $120 million. It'd basically be the Amon-Ra deal. That'd be the highest per year value in Jets history. That would top Quentin Williams, who's in the mid-20s. There'd be a total value deal greater than Quentin Williams. He's on a $96 million deal. And then I would rival the guarantees. We could talk about it. So I'd give him $85 million guaranteed, and I'd slide that across the table and say, Garrett, you're a whatever it is, top 5, top 7 highest paid wide receiver in football. You're a wonderful player. We want you here forever. Boom. There you go. Again, he doesn't get Justin Jefferson money, doesn't get CeeDee Lamb money. And I think by paying him now, the wide receiver market's only going to continue to get higher. So I give him money, and he's like, this is great. And in my head, I'm like, we're beating the market because people are about to start paying these wide receivers crazy even more than this. So we get them at a great deal. And when you look 2 or 3 years down the road on the deal, you're like, holy shit, we're paying Garrett Wilson $30 million and others are paying wide receivers $40 million. Boom. We got a great deal.
Yeah,
Wow.
30 still seems like a lot. That still seems like especially when you
Counter
consider
me.
that
What's your
he
number?
well, I was actually, while you were talking, I was trying to pull up like the average, like how many receivers make over 25. Which I was unsuccessful in my search. But
Okay, I could give you that number quick.
oh, okay. All right. Better search or better
Okay.
detective than me. I appreciate it. I think Garrett,
So 11
especially like
players
if Rodgers, oh sorry, say that.
Yeah, real quick, just because it came up. So 11 players in the league right now make 25 million or more per year.
Do you
Devontae
see who
Smith.
the lowest person is? Like who
Yeah,
is that
Devontae
11?
Smith. He makes 25 million.
Oh. Okay, all right. So yeah, I would honestly offer Garrett like 27 for the next 4.
So you
And
give him the DJ Moore deal. He's making 27.5 million per year.
yes, DJ Moore has had better seasons than Garrett. I want to say almost every year, and his quarterback play has been nothing to write home about at all. So I actually think that's a perfect. Damn, I'm about to pat myself on the back. Wasn't expecting to have such a perfect comparison. But yeah, I think moving forward, if Rodgers and Devontae are on the team, it's not even a guarantee that Garrett is going to have the best numbers on the team, let alone we're talking about in the league.
Yeah, your DJ Moore comp, just real quick, he has a greater single season from a yardage perspective than Garrett has ever had. He had a 1,300-yard year with the Bears, not this past season, the year prior. But every other season, he's swimming in Garrett Wilson waters. 1,100, 1,100, 1,100, 700, 800. This past season, he got 900 and change. So he's Garrett Wilson for 99% of these seasons outside of that one with 2023.
Yeah, so that's
No, I was just painting it for people that I'm sure don't watch DJ Moore.
Got you. Yes. So that's why I pat myself on the back. So yeah, sorry, excuse me. I think I think that's a really nice number. If Devontae's there, right, Devontae will have to be paid, and they're both gonna be like 1A, 1B. You don't want to. I don't think you should be spending $65 million, or I guess the Eagles are doing that, right? Spending $60 million at that one position.
And also Dolph, they're another one. So I have that in front of me here. Tyreek Hill is the 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the 5th highest paid wide receiver, and then Jalen Waddle is 7th. So they have 2 of the top 7 highest paid receivers in football. Obviously, if you go Eagles, it's 2 top 11 because Devontae Smith's last on that list, and AJ Brown is 3rd. But they have 3 in the top 11. Dolphins have 2 in the top 7.
Yeah, I think 27 is a good number for Garrett. But that's not too far away from yours, right? But yeah, I think I do completely agree. If they get a deal done this year, it's in the best interest of the team. But if I'm Garrett and you just seen what Jamar just did, maybe you try to.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm Garrett, I'm betting on myself if you tell me who my quarterback is. If you say, hey, Paul, your quarterback's going to be Tyrod Taylor, I'm like, yeah, where do I sign? Let me get that right now. I'll figure it out because I don't know if Tyrod, first off, stays healthy. And number 2, maybe he racks up a ton of receptions. Again, Tyrod's got a great deep ball, so maybe he's going to get more pot shots, which he didn't get previously. But my first gut on Tyrod is there's going to be a lot of throw, and then these DJ Moore sidearm throws, line of scrimmage. Garrett, you're a basketball player. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Try to crisscross some people up and get a bunch of yak, and let's see what happens. And maybe his receptions go up, and he can break that Brandon Marshall 109 catch, have like a 120 catch season or something with like 1,100 yards. And maybe to your point, he could bet on himself there. My initial, though, is if Tyrod's a guy, yeah, I'll sign right now. Aaron's the guy, and I'm like, another year removed from the Achilles. Tyrod's a solid backup, and I'm trying to prognosticate. Am I willing to bet on myself? And I'm kind of like, all right, let's take a whirl. That would be an interesting conversation if I'm Garrett with my agent of like fighting for it. Because again, Justin bet on his beans. Justin Jefferson, that's another good example. They offered him before that season a $28 million extension. He said, blow me. He does his crazy year. He gets $35 million a year. He's like, oh shit. Same thing with Jamar, right? He had and some extension levels that were in the low 30s. He's like, blow me. And now he's the Triple Crown King. He's about to get freaking 40. I don't know what he's going to get. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So it's a fair point. It's a fair point. But to consolidate our number ones are obvious. It's Aaron Rodgers. What are you doing there? You're bringing him back. First off, does Aaron Rodgers want to come back? So that's yes or no. If he doesn't, then your decision's easy, Jets. He's gone. Do you want him back? He wants to come back. Boom. That's easy. Here's where it gets complicated. Does Aaron say, yeah, I want to play not for you? Oof, that hurts. But okay, Aaron, let's try to figure it out. Or the other way, right? That Aaron's like, I can't wait to come back. I love the Jets. And they're like, fuck you. This is our era now, motherfucker. Like, we're going somewhere else. And he's like, oh, shit. Oh, that sucks. So that's where we get the rub. And I think that rub is very possible. I have no idea. We will find out the answer all together. There's a chance that there's a rub here. But if there's clearness on either side, he wants to retire, the decision's easy. They both want each other back, boom, the decision's easy. But if one side wants something else, that's where we get complicated.
Definitely. That is a perfect way to break it down. Can we go to the footage? To the or not, or I guess not footage,
graphic,
but the yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, let me see. Let me throw this up on the Wudi leaderboard here. All right, here we go.
I think if you are a fan, right, which you know we all are, right? We all root for the team.
Sure.
I think if you're a fan, you want Aaron Rodgers back. You low key kind of need Aaron Rodgers back.
Oh wow.
I don't think any of us want to sit through another losing season. I think it would be silly to assume that that's what we're going to get. I mean, this roster came in to the year with Super Bowl aspirations, and it wasn't unfounded. Like Vegas agreed. Vegas put us at the top of the AFC East. Vegas put us, I believe we were the 5th option to win a Super Bowl behind the Chiefs and the Ravens in the AFC, and then the Niners and the Eagles in the NFC. That's how it went. The roster is pretty much still intact now. Mougey and Glenn are going to put their touches, put their spin on it, right? Make players play their way, right? And then add, fill in the holes as need be. In that case, with that same roster, I think automatically you have some sort of shot. And if we're going to go with which QB gives us the best shot, I don't think there's a QB in the free agency market that is going to give the 39 offensive touchdowns that Aaron Rodgers gave in age 40 coming off an Achilles. You can see with this graphic how much better that is than pretty much the average of every QB before him. I was asked because I put this on Instagram, I was asked about Mark Sanchez. 33.2 was his average for those 4 years. So that is the breakdown there, right? Yeah, you can see how the numbers fall in. So Aaron Rodgers, I think that gives you the best chance to win games, and I think more importantly for the Garrett fans, the Garrett gang out there, this is Garrett's best chance to develop as a receiver. He was not developing with Zach Wilson. That was my biggest gripe with the Joe Douglas era and how they kept trying to convince themselves or me or Boy Green. They were trying to convince somebody that Zach Wilson was good and just needed development. Was that it came at the complete hindrance of Garrett Wilson as a player. That's no longer happening with Rodgers because Rodgers is getting the ball. With Rodgers, Garrett has his career high in catches, yards, and touchdowns. And for catches and touchdowns, it's by quite a considerable margin. All right. Now with Devontae on the other side for a full season, if they are lucky enough to get that, the sky is the limit. This is the best possible solution for the Garrett fans. For the Breeze fans like myself, I think it's a fantastic situation for Brees as well. No more stacking the box. And for the longtime QB fans, I also think this is the best path forward because the Jets still have their second round pick. It's a very early pick. It is within 10 picks of where Jordan Love was picked. And
Wow,
you can look at what Jordan Love did this past year, which is make the playoffs, but and say, Jordan Love had a down year. Last year, they were talking about him as an MVP candidate. He was able to learn under Aaron Rodgers. He wasn't a top 10 pick, but now he is considered a franchise quarterback who has been in MVP talks, who's been to the playoffs every single year that he's been a starter and has won a playoff game. Give us our Jordan Love. The second round pick that the New York Jets have can be used for that Jordan Love. There's Jordan Travis. I haven't forgotten about him. He's just unproven. But if you get that second round pick and Jordan Travis battling it out next year, right, now you have two young guys who have learned behind Aaron Rodgers, who now give you the best chance under the same leadership. There's no change in leadership. It's really the perfect situation to draft your heir apparent and get Aaron Rodgers. So I literally pray every single day when I wake up before I go to sleep that Aaron Rodgers is the New York Jets quarterback for this season, and they can draft whoever they want, the guy who fits their mold the best in the second round, and that guy might just end up being the best QB in Jets franchise history.
I see Take Flight today. By the way, shout out for a beautiful intro, Brent. We like it, Jackson Dart, the Syracuse guy. That is Kyle McCord. So learn his name. I was about to say, get my wife's name out of your mouth. Get Kyle McCord's name into your mouth because that's what you should be saying. And to be honest, right now, the latest mock drafts have only two quarterbacks going, and that's all the quarterbacks we talk about all the time. Cam Ward out of Miami, Shadur Sanders out of Colorado. There is room for a third quarterback, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the first round, which puts the Jets in a prime position in the early 40s to either trade up if they have to the top of the second round and get their guy that they love, or they wait and get that person, whether you're a Jackson Dart guy, whether you're a Kyle McCord guy, potentially, or if you'd like to go in any other different directions. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are being discussed in those conversations. Obviously, the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl all happening is another reason why some of these names are popping up in a different way. So it certainly makes a lot of sense to be swimming in those waters and get another guy in the room that can learn from Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers comes back, I would not waste, for lack of a better word, and I think that's the word to use, to be honest with you, being in the room with Aaron Rodgers, being in the room with the four-time NFL MVP, and the obvious benefits that Jordan Love had from it. Obviously, Jordan Travis can benefit from it, but he's just a total wild card. I don't know when he's going to be healthy, if he's ever going to be healthy. It's a tough conversation, and plus, I'm sure this new regime is going to want their own quarterback in the mix as well. Hopefully, Jordan Travis works out and the decision's easy, but the Jets owe it to themselves to add another quarterback to that room, and that very well could be a Kyle McCord, Jackson Dart, or what have you. Wow. Wudi, what a show. 500 people in the room. Again, like the video, hit subscribe. We're going to be doing our Boy Green raffle giveaway at the end of this month. That'll be coming up, quite frankly, I believe that's Saturday, if my math's right. Isn't that the first? It is. So Saturday, February 1st in the morning, we'll be giving away a Aaron Rodgers Nike Atmosphere jersey. I'll throw it up here on the screen real quick like here. Booyah. We'll be giving away this Aaron Rodgers Nike Atmosphere jersey, a $50 Boy Green merch shop gift card, and a license plate combo that is laser engraved with Boy Green logo and Jets logos all together. One lucky member to the Boy Green Coffee Club will be getting this lucky and awesome giveaway. To get raffle tickets for this, you just have to subscribe to the Boy Green Coffee Club. That's down in the YouTube description down below. It's only $2.99, or gift memberships for $2.99 per. And that's how you can get them. There's no limit on the raffle tickets. And we also are doing something for the free people in the audience that say screw paying for things. I like doing it the free way. And you can do that as well. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/boygreen25. Once we reach 7,500 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a piece of autographed memorabilia from the New York Jets signed by two former New York Jets first-round picks. A nice little surprise that I'll be mailing out to you. That will go as soon as we get 7,500 subscribers, which, again, we were less than, at the start of the show, we're less than like 200 and change away from that. So, folks, spread the gospel for all things Boy Green Daily. Wudi, fun show. I'm looking forward to Thursday. We already know who our third-party Thursday is. That is Phil Milani. He used to work for the Denver Broncos, and he has interviewed Darren Mougey countless times, and he knows him about as good as anybody. I think the Jet fans want to know who Mougey is, and Phil Milani is the perfect guy to do that, so I can't wait for that on Thursday.
Yes, it should be exciting. I want to give a special shout out to my guy, Brandon Bradshaw. Asking about Mekhi Becton on the Eagles. You know, they got a great offensive line coach down there, right? To take somebody who thought he was just a left tackle, all caps, all periods, and turn him into a right guard. But again, I think we said this on a couple shows before, was that he had to be broken before he could be rebuilt. No, like for real, like, you know, like
you're right. The humbleness of not getting any attraction in free agency and hanging out there forever, and the humbleness of a real offensive line coach, not named Keith Carter, saying, "Hey, Mekhi, you better learn guard or Chinese, brother, or you're getting out of here." And he went like, "Well, I guess I'll try that guard thing out." When he tweeted out that he was only a left tackle, he got served humbled pie, broken, as you say. You know, you like break a horse in. I watched some Yellowstone before. You know, breaking a horse in. It's sort of what they had to do with Mekhi. And by the way, bing, boom, bam. Now he's the starting guard on a Super Bowl team. So I guess it worked.
Yeah, so you know, I guess really, you know, if you want to talk about credit, I'm giving it to the O-line coach. But you know, I mean, he's like Boy Green said, he is playing in the Super Bowl. So you know, kudos to him. Right, his son, who was born, I think his last year as a Jet, can say, "Hey, my daddy played in the Super Bowl." My son can't say that, so kudos to him.
Yeah, and there you go. So I want to thank everybody for joining us again. Like the video, hit subscribe, baby, and join the channel. Again, we will be back on with Boy Green Meets Wudi on Thursday at 3 o'clock with a special third-party guest. That is Phil Milani. Again, he used to work for the Denver Broncos for a long time. Now he does his own coverage of the Denver Broncos, but he had a lot of conversations with Darren Mougey, who was the assistant general manager of the Denver Broncos. We'll be back on tomorrow, and also stay tuned to the channel. Perhaps a surprise Boy Green extra interview could be happening tonight. Who knows? Make sure you stay subscribed to the channel, and you could see an interview perhaps with the superstar, baby. So we try to get some of those additional interviews out there as well. That's youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Wudi, we'll see you on Thursday, buddy boy.
Let's get it.
Peace.